Alright, what's up everyone, I'm Philoki, and today we're going to be taking a look at a little bit of a recap of the third week of the Seahawks 2021 training camp. Now to jump right into the video, some of the biggest things that happened this week were the returns of D'Wayne Eskridge, Rashad Penny, and Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams wasn't injured, but we got his contract sorted, he got paid, he's back in practice. Rashad Penny came back a few days ago, and I don't know if he's going to be playing in the preseason or not. They'll probably keep him out just to keep him safe, maybe play him for one game. If the starters play in any of the games, throw him in there. And D'Wayne Eskridge, of course, the second round pick for the Seattle Seahawks in this year's draft, is finally back on the field. He was dealing with a toe issue. I don't think he's fully 100% a part of practices doing everything that everyone else is doing, but he's getting eased back in, and that's a great thing because we want to have him before the regular season starts. And continuing on the topic of injuries, Tyler Lockett is dealing with a groin issue, but he was participating in practice yesterday and I believe the day before as well. But some bad news on the injury front. Of course, Marquise Blair is still out and Ugo Amadi is taking his reps and doing very well with them. We also have DJ Reed, who continues to be out with a groin issue, and Gerald Everett suffered an undisclosed injury in the warmups of our last practice. We don't know what that is yet, the severity of it, but hopefully it's not too bad. We've basically had our entire tight end depth wiped out other than Gerald Everett and Will Dissly. So if Gerald Everett ends up going down, that is going to be a big issue for us. But hopefully he can stay healthy, at least be ready by the regular season. If not, maybe preseason week 3 if we want to play our starters then. And now moving away from injuries, of course, Duane Brown is still looking to get his contract extension done. Not really much has been publicized about that whole situation, neither from Duane Brown's side or the Seahawks side, but hopefully that'll get done before the season starts because, you know, of course, we need Duane Brown at left tackle. If we don't have him, bad news. And on the topic of actually playing football, the first thing that I want to talk about is DK Metcalf, and the corners kind of in the same light. DK Metcalf has been absolutely cooking our corners in the one-on-one drills. There's been a lot of videos coming out about DK Metcalf just toasting our corners, and I don't know if that's a good thing for the offense or a bad thing for the defense, because one video that I know that I can show and that I saw multiple times around the internet was DK Metcalf absolutely roasting and toasting and burning, and every single thing you could possibly do to a corner, DK Metcalf did to Ahkello Witherspoon. I don't know if DK Metcalf is getting his revenge for Ahkello Witherspoon flexing on him in the 49ers game last year, but DK just got right around him and just dusted him, and there was really no chance for Ahkello Witherspoon to get back into play. DK was just too fast. I don't know if that's good for DK Metcalf or if it's bad for Ahkello Witherspoon, but hopefully it's just better for the offense than bad for the defense, because that honestly did not look great. And another corner, Ugo Amadi, is completely showing out in training camp. He did very well in the first preseason game for the Seahawks at that nickel corner spot, and he continues to do well in training camp at that spot as well. So with Marquise Blair out, he's looking like he's losing basically every single possible snap he can in the nickel spot. So Ugo Amadi, he looks like he's probably going to be taking that starting role at nickel like he had last year. He did very well last year. He does really well in the run game. He tackles well. He plays good coverage. I mean, Ugo Amadi is just someone that I really like to see on the field. He does very well basically every play he's out there. And as I mentioned before, Ugo Amadi is taking these snaps from Marquise Blair while he's injured. And Marquise Blair did very well in the few games that we saw him at the nickel corner spot last year. He did well in coverage. He was all over the place making tackles. He was doing well in those first few games that we got to see him at nickel corner. He just got injured. It was really unfortunate. But Marquise Blair, I think we can all agree that he's very talented. He has the ability to play that nickel corner. He did well in coverage. And honestly, with so much competition at the outside corner spots, of course, DJ Reed probably going to be the starter, probably the #1 corner, because he did very well last year. No one's really taken his spot by showing out too much. Trey Brown has been doing good in training camp, but he didn't look great in that first preseason game. Ahkello Witherspoon, he's been doing good in training camp. We didn't really see anything horrible from the first preseason game, but we haven't seen anything great either. And the next guy up is Trey Flowers. So I think that Marquise Blair could possibly, when he comes back from injury, I think that he should get some opportunities at outside corner. Of course, he played well at nickel corner last year, and I think it'd be nice to have him there, but Ugo Amadi has taken that spot. Ugo Amadi has played very well in the nickel spot, and he is probably going to keep that spot going into this season. But Marquise Blair is definitely very talented, and I don't really want to see either Ugo Amadi or Marquise Blair riding the bench because they're both so talented. I think Marquise Blair should get some opportunities trying out outside corner, see if it works, because he has the size, he has the speed, he's very athletic, and he tackles really well. I think that Marquise Blair, if he gets an opportunity at the outside corner spot and he covers well enough to be an outside corner, he has the tackling, he's got the size, he's got the length, he's got the athleticism. He has basically every single thing you need, and if he can cover, he'll probably be one of the better tackling corners on the team. And now moving on to offensive line, with Duane Brown still out looking for his contract and Ethan Pocic still out with injury, we have somewhat of a look at what our starting offensive line could possibly be. Coming from Bob Condata, hopefully I said that right, the most consistently used #1 offensive line group was Jamarco Jones filling in for Duane Brown, Damian Lewis at the left guard spot, Kyle Fuller at the center spot filling in for Ethan Pocic. You also have Gabe Jackson at the right guard spot, and you have Brandon Shell at the right tackle. And this is kind of to be expected. We all know that left tackle is going to be Duane Brown. Hopefully we figure out the contract situation with him. Hopefully he plays this season. Then we had Damian Lewis and Gabe Jackson at both of the guard spots, and then we had Brandon Shell at the tackle spot. We have some decent guys. It's just the center that's a big question mark, because Ethan Pocic, he's definitely not the best center in the league. So we have Kyle Fuller filling in for him right now. There's currently a competition going on. Kyle Fuller might be able to take that starting spot. And something that's interesting to me is that Phil Haynes is trying out the center spot right now. He's kind of joining the running for the competition at the center spot, because that's probably the most wide open spot on the offensive line. For someone like Phil Haynes, where you've dealt with injuries, but you can definitely be a pretty solid guy on the offensive line, it makes sense to try and join the running on the center competition, because there's really no other spot on the offensive line for you to take, because Duane Brown gonna be there, Damian Lewis, Gabe Jackson gonna be in the starting lineup, and then Brandon Shell, maybe you could take his spot, but you're really not gonna find much better people at right tackle right now. So Brandon Shell, I think, is safe at right tackle, but the center spot is wide open, because I don't think Ethan Pocic is really a guaranteed starter. Kyle Fuller is already coming in and being that competition, and Phil Haynes, if he can show well enough, that would definitely be an interesting guy to be in at the center spot, because center is definitely our biggest issue right now. Phil Haynes, he said in an interview that the biggest issues he's having right now at center is obviously snapping the football, something he's never done before, and also making the calls on the offensive line. But there is another option at center, because of course Ethan Pocic, not great, Kyle Fuller, not the best, Phil Haynes, interesting, but who knows if he'll actually be able to take that center spot. There is a man in free agency that is still surprisingly a free agent. I really don't know how. It's kind of that KJ Wright situation where they're very talented, they're just not being picked up by teams for some reason. And that's Austin Reeder, or Ryder. I don't really know how to say it, but he's a center. He was on the Chiefs. He got cut when the Chiefs completely dismantled the offensive line and somehow built it up better. And he's still in free agency. He could be a solid guy for the Seahawks to go out and get. The Seahawks did clear up over $4.5 million by signing Jamal Adams to this contract extension that he got a few days ago. So you could bring in that new center for what, a 1 year, maybe $5 million deal, and you really haven't changed your cap situation for this year much. And then boom, bang, pow, you got a better guy at the center spot, or if nothing else, you get more competition at the center spot. Try him out, maybe give Ethan Pocic a reason to actually be a good football player. And if he doesn't end up being an actual player for the team or a starter or anything like that, if nothing else, you've brought more competition and got guys to work harder at the center spot. So I think that it'd probably be a good idea to bring Austin Reeder in, but we'll have to see if the Seahawks do it. I don't think that anyone's actually going to be brought in throughout the preseason. They're probably going to stick with the guys they have and just continue to cut them when the cut dates come. But honestly, I would like to see something like that happen. I think if we were going to sign somebody, Austin Reeder would probably be the most worthwhile signing, because, you know, KJ Wright wouldn't really get many snaps. Richard Sherman would bring that veteran experience, but he probably wouldn't get many snaps over the more athletic corners that we have. But Austin Reeder, I mean, center is a huge question mark. So if we bring him in, at least get some more competition going. Hopefully Ethan Pocic can show that he's the starter, do well, show that he's improved, or if nothing else, Austin Reeder comes in, takes that starting spot, and actually is a pretty good center for the offensive line. Make Russell Wilson happy, protect him, let him get hit less. I don't know. I think it's a win-win to try and bring in Austin Reeder. You see what he can do. If he can't do anything, that's fine. Just don't give him too much money so that he's easier to cut. But overall, it seemed like it was a pretty solid week for the Seahawks in training camp. You know, we didn't really hear much bad stuff from the training camp. I don't think you're really going to hear much bad stuff anyway, but it seemed like we got some pretty good stuff. Phil Haynes coming in at center, bringing more competition, could be a really good thing for us. But overall, good week for the Seahawks in training camp. Now it's on to preseason week 2, and we'll see how we do in that game. But with that, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know down below in the comments what your thoughts are on this last week of training camp, and are you excited for the next preseason game? Let me know down below in the comments. Like I said, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. Have a great day.